Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Christian Spiritual Ministries, our online ministry here on our YouTube channel. My name is Walter, and it's my privilege to host and welcome, and certainly to welcome all of you, but also to welcome our guest once again is our Dean of Studies with Christian Spiritual Ministries, our Vice President of the ministry, and of course, our co-pastor at the Burlington Temple, Reverend Orland Howard. Very glad to have you with us here once again today.
It's good to be here again, Walter.
Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you. We've been talking, certainly this week, our focus is on faith, and our service on Saturday morning was just that. It was a service focused on this understanding of faith. And what we were going to talk about today is something no less significant than the absolute spiritual purpose of faith itself. And so, as always, we bite off these really big abstract concepts, but really appreciate how you're able to kind of zero in on what that might mean in our daily life and daily understanding. So help us understand this in the broad brush terms, or however you want to kick this off, Orland. How would you describe faith or its purpose in our lives?
Well, in general, you could ask anyone, you know, what their problem with faith is. Them keeping their faith,
right?
And they would probably rattle off a whole list of material associated items with faith.
Yeah, discuss.
Then you have to ask yourself, well, what are you putting your faith in? And we're looking at we're creatures of habit,
right?
We're still growing, we're still learning,
yeah.
And so we continually put our faith in material things because that's where we are, and so they're the tangible things around us. And sometimes we have trouble with intangible things, right, such as God, such as our spirituality. And so we continue to run into disappointments with faith. But what is the purpose of faith? It's for the spirit. It's for the spirit because we belong with God and God is spirit. So right, the material is temporary, and it's to bring us to that which we are, spirit with God.
Okay.
Not spirit forever in the earth, in the material world. And so the true purpose of faith in an abstract way is for the spiritual human being to give us strength and keep that connection despite our surroundings with divine spirit. And right, if we look at it that way, we can set some of the disappointments aside. And with faith comes a lot of patience. When you ask people again about their faith, and they say, well, I don't have much faith in this or that, and because it takes too long. Something takes too long, or it didn't happen when I wanted it to happen.
Right.
And so we're losing sight of the true benefits of waiting for something, because the right time is the best time.
Yeah.
And where God is concerned, God covers both.
Right.
And so faith, sorry.
No, I understand. For a moment, I misunderstood, but you mean in God's time. So our patience being tried and tested, if you will, because God won't be early because early is bad for us, right? Like God's time is the best time. That's what you were saying with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. And that simple test of time, if you will, is of our own doing. It's not like God puts this in front of us.
Right.
God said, God's there, God will do. But it's in God's time for our best interest,
Right.
the best results. And it is we who become impatient or disappointed because of the timing, or we don't receive what we ask for.
Right.
And that's our responsibility.
Yes.
That's not something God says, okay, I'm going to put you in this maze and test you and see if you can get out of it
Right.
and get to the end.
Yeah.
And at the end is faith.
Yeah.
After all these obstacles. And we are the obstacle, if there is one. And it's an understandable obstacle because, again, we're surrounded by the ways of the world and the priorities of the world.
That's right.
And these are the things that we put our faith in. So, in a nutshell, put our faith in God, because that's what faith is all about and for. It's for the spiritual man.
That's right. That's powerful. Like there's so much there to unpack, and I don't want to take us down a 5-hour rabbit hole. But the you mentioned expectation, and I've heard it said that the root of all disappointment is unmet expectations, and often that in relationship counseling we'd talk about how those expectations might be unfair or unjustified between a couple or a family or individuals that have this expectation that is unfair, and so of course someone else will violate that expectation, or they don't know that you're expecting them to be that way or to do this thing, and so that's why you're disappointed in them. That's why you're upset with them. But if we can get our expectations into a healthy place, then we eliminate most of our disappointment. Now, interestingly, you talk about proper expectation. In this case, our relationship with God. What are we expecting God to do? And God is not a granter of wishes, right? It's not rub the lamp and boom, we got what we want. And like, think of if we put it in terms of God, the parent. Could you imagine if we gave our children everything they asked for? Even something that would kill them, or something that would maim them, or something that might lead them down a path that is self-destructive. We'd never do that, right? And we see it in Scripture. Jesus says, God, you wouldn't give your child asks for a fish, you wouldn't give him a snake, right? And so blessing we give to our children, even if they don't know it at the time, and that kind of expectation of God to do the right thing, even if we don't know what it is kind of powerful. And we won't unpack all of it, but there's two wonderful discourses on faith in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and in James, chapter 2. Whereas Hebrews talks about faith as expectancy, that God is good, that God hears our prayers and answers, and that there is a God to pray to, and it's putting all of our expectancy in place. In James, that faith is action. So once you expect it, you behave as if it's true. And so without works, faith is dead. And with that kind of, so we're talking about this abstract, and this is where perhaps our final thoughts lie. We're talking about this abstract idea that our faith is about our faith in God, that the ultimate purpose of our faith on earth is to have faith in God, not in material things. And material faith has this sense of, well, I see it work, so I believe in it, right? I see the sun, I believe in the sun. And this abstract faith in God is without seeing, without getting the results I want in the time I want them. I have faith that God has all the best interests for me. And so it will be at the right time, and it'll be what I need in that moment, better than anything I could have designed myself. And that switch of expectancy turns us into a life of peace with our circumstances, because they no longer control how we feel about God. How we feel about God controls our circumstances, and how we interpret them and live through them, and how we act in the midst of them. Would that be a fair characterization of this abstract understanding of the purpose of our faith is to connect with God, and then its manifestation in our life is a life of greater peace and purpose, greater understanding and purposeful action.
It's the gift of family with God.
Okay.
Knowing
Yeah.
where we are, and ask for the gifts that we are granted are the gifts that we need.
Hmm.
You know, and the gifts that are of benefit to us in this material world. Even when we receive material gifts, it's for our benefit and some good purpose. It's not something that weighs us down or warps our faith in God. It helps us to understand more and to get through this life, and perhaps I'll help others along the way by putting our faith to action.
Interesting. So, in other words, it's taking the backwardness of our material understanding of faith and turning it right side round. So instead of what we see defines what our faith in God, our faith in God defines how we react to what we see.
Yes. Perfect.
Well, you said it, Orland. I'm just reflecting it back.
Perfect understanding.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I got it.
But if people would only look at that one aspect, that faith is for the purpose of our spiritual self and how we carry ourselves in the material, and then we can put our material priorities in order, and patience wouldn't be needed because we know what it's for, and so we could wait forever and it wouldn't bother us because we know in the end something will be done.
That's right. That's right. And that's powerful. And it's why Jesus was able to say, have faith. That's why the Bible commands us to have faith, because it's a choice. There's a decision we make about our faith, as opposed to a feeling that comes over us in the right moment. That's very good, Orland.
And
please go.
I just hope people look at that spiritual aspect of it a little differently than they may have before, and glean something from it.
Thank you. I'm sure they will. And that's your personal responsibility, dear listener, to take what we say and explore it in your own heart. Don't just take it as absolute, but take it as the starting point for your exploration and relationship with God. As we continue to grow our own relationship with God, we hope you're doing the same. And have faith that it will lead you to that greater purpose, that greater understanding, and that greater person who you're meant to be. Orland, as always, we really appreciate your time, Reverend Howard. We appreciate your wisdom, and we know that you do a great amount of study on your own, and you share that with all of us so freely. So we're very grateful for that. Thank you so much for having the faith in us that we will hear, that we have the words to hear. Thank you.
I'm always happy to be here, Walter. Thank you. You're
welcome. You're welcome. God bless. And again, to all of you who are watching and listening, God bless you. And may your faith, may you make that decision to point your faith at God, and may it continue to lead you to greater understanding and to God's grace and love. God bless you.
God bless.